Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of Two Bar Connections of your hosts, Jesse, and
James, what's happening, everybody?
what is happening indeed. So for today's episode, right, we just fresh off of our top games that we're anticipating for second half of 2024. We had all those good excited feelings that we had, and now we have some very unfortunate news. A lot of very unfortunate news. You could possibly say it would cause some
emotional damage.
But but yeah, it seems unfortunately, we have a lot of layoff news to go over between Bungie layoffs, Intel layoffs, as well as Humble Games layoffs, and we also have some closures, some very sad ends of eras here with Game Informer, the famous gaming magazine, closing after 33 years in operation, and the 360 store officially closing. And we also have some news concerning unions being newly formed. We have SAGAFTRA, the Screen Actors, whatever union, the Hollywood union, right? They're taking a strike against the video game industry, and we also have the entire WoW team unionizing as well. And then to end it all off, we have a very long, very in-depth expose on how AI is already taking over the industry, namely in the arts department. But before we get into all that, how are you feeling? How you doing?
I'm all right, man. I mean, not much has changed. It's only been about a week since our last recording, so not much has happened. I'm exactly in the same spot. Nothing new with me, which is strange considering that my job always has stories to tell, but it was actually pretty tame this past week. But what about you? What's been new with you this past week?
That's good to hear, man. It's only been a week, so
Yeah.
when was our I posted our last episode 3 days ago, and we recorded I think 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days
that?
before that.
So, unfortunately, it doesn't have the 150 views that we got. We did not invoke the name of our Lord and Savior, Rob Schneider.
Well, no, you did not. I saw the title and I was like, "Damn, I'm really disappointed in the lack of Rob Schneider."
I should have put Rob Schneider is looking forward to these games in 2024. So.
You really should. We should try that later. But no. We discovered some new toys with our sound buttons, so we're gonna have a really good time with that.
Oh, you're telling me, huh?
Yeah.
These nuts.
Oh, you son of a bitch!
That one's still my favorite one. Robot Chicken forever, dude.
Yep. Yeah. So that's from our soundboard on our private Discord server, our super top secret Discord server. So
Yes.
our super top secret channel that even the people in our server don't know about.
Exactly.
So, since we really don't have too much to go over personally, I guess maybe we can, kind of just dive straight into it, dude, because we got a lot.
Yeah, we do, and especially with that last article, I want to devote enough time to it. So actually, it's kind of fortuitous that it worked out like this. So whenever you're ready, let's head right into these layoff news.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Good thing we did everything so close together, because if not, yeah, this is already going to be huge between. I guess we could talk very briefly about our feelings on Robert Downey Jr. real quick at the Comic-Con.
Oh.
I don't know if you want to discuss that super quick.
Yeah, sure. Feelings are mixed. If I'm being honest with you, I'm a huge fan of RDJ, but he's already kind of fulfilled his role, as Iron Man, and it was a pretty big role, super big.
Yeah,
In fact,
the biggest probably.
the biggest, the keystone, cornerstone, whatever the fuck you want to call it. He was that guy. The MCU started with him, and honestly, it ended with him too.
Yeah.
So
Many would say that, right? Like it peaked, right? It started with Iron Man, and then it peaked and ended with Iron Man.
yeah, absolutely. So the fact that they're bringing them back really just kind of shows how. Some people say like desperation, because a lot of what Marvel's been doing hasn't been panning out for them. So the fact that they're getting him back along with the Russo brothers to direct the next Avengers movie, especially since
Next two
the
Avengers
whole,
movies.
yeah, the next two, because the whole thing with Kang didn't work out for
Yeah.
yeah, as you know,
Even though it's
as,
great you bring that up because it's so weird that like Disney was just like, nah, fuck it, right? They just went, nah, we're just not gonna do Kang at all. Even though they have like, the biggest get out of jail free card for a recast with multiverse and stuff. It's like, oh, it's a multiverse. Like you can literally be any variant, right? You could be a man, you could be a woman, you could be black, you could be white, you could be a fucking dog or a crocodile, right? Like
yes,
like in Loki.
in Loki, exactly.
So
But,
it's like, well, why didn't they just, recast? It's very strange. You can sort of understand why they didn't recast Black Panther, right? They did it.
Yeah.
Want to replace Chadwick Boseman, so like they kind of decided to just try and build a movie and story off of his passing. But
yeah,
like, dude, Jonathan Majors isn't dead, man. Like he just he got caught a bad day in court. So I mean, he caught a case in the courts, and I mean, you can still recast him. Everyone was fine with Terrence Howard getting recasted by Don Cheadle. Like no one fucking blinked an eye. And we were just like, oh look, I guess Rhodey just got a few shades darker. So fun.
yeah.
Well, a few couple of dozen shades darker because like Don Cheadle and Terrence Howard are pretty. They're
Yeah,
pretty
no,
wide
they're
apart
pretty-
in shade,
no,
but.
Absolutely, but also I think it's because it was only the second movie, and no one thought to, pay any mind to the recasting. They probably, and at the time they just thought like, oh, it's probably like a contract dispute or a scheduling dispute. No one knew like how much, how tumultuous that actually was.
Yeah.
But now that the MCU is way bigger than it was in Iron Man 2, there's a lot of stakes now that and a lot of plans that can fall apart pretty quickly if something like this happens at a court. But you're right, they really should have just recasted Kang if he was that important. But I guess they had something else in mind. They probably did think that a lot of the projects that they were doing leading up to Kang or Kong, whatever. No, it's Kang. Kong is Wait,
Yes.
do you say Chang?
Kang.
Oh, Kang. Okay, sorry, I heard Chang.
No, Kang.
But, Kang. But all of the stuff leading up to Kang, it was not really met well. So I think they just kind of took this opportunity to just go back to the drawing board and bring back, people that are tried and true, which include the Russo brothers and Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, it just seems like
I really think that's the case.
Yeah, they're
But,
really smashing the emergency glass here.
Yeah, they really are. I can only imagine how much they paid RDJ, honestly.
Oh man, I
'cause,
think there's a report on it, but I don't know. It's got to be like way too much fucking money.
$100
million.
Million dollars.
Billion dollars. Exactly.
Yeah, especially since he is. Go ahead.
No, it just makes you think like how much is this movie gonna cost, man? Because Infinity War cost like $300 million. Infinity War was, I mean, Endgame, not Infinity War. Endgame was both of them were expensive as fuck, but Endgame in particular was like $300 million, like close to $400 million, I think. And then Infinity War was also a pretty penny too. That was like a $200 million movie. I mean, they made their money back and then some, thank God, right? Because they were the freaking the events.
Yeah, dude.
They were the movie events of the decade, pretty much. Between
Absolutely.
But now it's like, people are kind of down on the MCU. It's kind of a little bit of a low point. The quality hasn't really been there. Doesn't really feel like there's really building towards anything. They're kind of like meandering around a bit.
Yeah,
I mean, I always thought they should have taken a break after Endgame, but the corporate machine's got to keep going, man. You got to keep that pipeline going. I mean, really, how Phase 4 should have been. They should have treated it like an epilogue, where they kind of like tie up some loose ends with some characters. Like you can give like Thor his final story, then you give the Guardians like their farewell. You can treat it like a farewell chapter, right? And I think they did a really good job of that with Guardians. I don't know. You saw Guardians 3, right?
Yeah, I did.
And I thought it was a really good send off for it. But it also leaves just enough room to be like, okay, if we want to bring these characters back, we're going to bring something different now.
Yeah. Well, but then again, that really technically doesn't count as like a Disney Marvel movie. That movie was completely within James Gunn's control, and you can tell, in in the quality of that movie. Because I think actually, out of all of the MCU movies in this phase, that was probably one of the better ones. Well, no, not probably. It was one of the better ones.
Well, people would probably say the same thing about Thor: Love and Thunder, and look how Thor: Love and Thunder worked out, because that's very much a Taika Waititi movie. Because Taika Waititi, he loves making like very silly movies, and that movie was very silly, and a lot of people didn't like it because it was too silly.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but I heard it was just a little bit too bonkers, and there was a lot of quality issues people would complain about.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
personally, I actually liked
but
the movie.
I didn't see it, so I can't really form an opinion on it.
Yeah, personally,
So-
I like the movie still, but I do think that it was a little too silly at some points, and Christian Bale was way underused, and his character was like way under. He's called Godslayer, man. Like he doesn't do any like Godslaying whatsoever. He does no Godslaying whatsoever. He's just hovering out in space with his pasty ass, ashy skin, right? Monologuing and being creepy, but he doesn't do like any actual Godslaying. So like we don't see him actually do like anything really cool, right?
Yeah.
Christian Bale's killing it because Christian Bale's a fucking pro, and he's been doing what he's been doing for like 40 years.
Well, yeah, and also from what I've heard, the impression that I got from that movie was that everyone was kind of goofing off, and he was the only one to quote unquote show up for work.
Well, he was supposed to be like the straight man, I guess is what you would say, right? But then every character in Love and Thunder was pretty comedic. So like it was like, okay, man, like what are we going for here? Is this a comedy or is this a superhero action movie? I mean, you can do a comedy, right? But there's got to be some stakes. You got to feel the tension, especially when you got basically a guy called the fucking Godslayer, like it's a sword as opposed to be able to kill gods.
Yeah, for sure. And to be fair, Thor Ragnarok was a really, really dope movie and a really pleasant surprise. I mean, I guess you can attribute that a lot to the fact that it was the best of the Thor movies, so that automatically puts it, in like in a category above. But it still manages to tell a good story and have actual heart wrenching moments, and shit, along with the comedy that they had. In fact, it's one of the movies that I quote my sister all the damn time. So, but people, I guess Taika Waititi, from what I heard, tried to do the same thing, but it didn't land. Like he tried to catch lightning in a bottle twice, but it didn't work out.
Lightning, thunder. You can say catching thunder in a bottle.
Love and Thunder in the bottle. Whatever, bro. Well, maybe if the movie was good, I would have made a better analogy. But yeah, I heard it was mixed.
I don't have a soundbite for this. Fuck. Okay, never mind. I feel like I should have had a soundbite ready for that.
Just play a random. Just play a random one. Just play random.
Just play a random one. Okay.
Play a random soundbite for our audience. Dealer's choice.
Holy fish paste!
But yeah. So very very interesting to see where the MCU goes from here. So it could be desperation. It could be that these people finally want to take the MCU serious again and tell good stories that people will like. So we'll see. I wonder if they'll bring back anybody else.
Possibly, because they did bring back some actors in some capacity in Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm not gonna spoil who.
Please don't.
Or how,
I was supposed to see it today, but our recording got shifted, so I have to watch it this weekend.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Sorry about that.
Don't spoil it.
I should have done the research over the weekend.
It's fine.
But yeah, that movie is Cameo City, man.
Really?
It is so fucking meta. Like if you know the ends of like movie developments and stuff, oh man.
Cool. I'm excited.
There's gonna be one cameo that's gonna confuse a lot of people unless like they hard keep up with like movie news. They're just gonna think, oh, haha, it's funny, right? But they're not gonna understand the deeper the meta implications of it.
Okay, then very fair enough. All right. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it.
It's a fun movie. It's a good fun movie. I liked it enough.
You liked it enough?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it. I liked it enough. I mean, it's definitely something I'd probably throw in the middle of the pack of the MCU movies, right? maybe like on the higher end of the middle, but still like somewhere in the middle, right? Like it's not, Winter Soldier, or Civil War, or Thor Ragnarok, or any of those,
Yeah.
or Avengers,
Okay.
or Endgame, right? Those like top tier, top echelon movies. But it's not like the Marvels, right? Or Black Widow.
Cool.
Yeah. Which to me, Black Widow is the worst one because that movie was just boring. Yeah, it was just boring. That's really, the Marvels had some fun spots here and there, but the Black Widow was just boring. But so any other thoughts before we move on?
No, not really. I just wish Star Wars had the same treatment, but they,
Oh,
you
well.
know,
Yeah,
that franchise is lost.
yeah, I know that's awesome. Well, I will say, rain or shine, Robert Downey Jr. is probably gonna fucking kill it.
Oh yeah,
It's just
totally.
gonna be a matter of if the story is good or not. That's what's gonna be the toss up.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we've had some decent Phase 4 movies like Shang-Chi and stuff, but it doesn't feel like things are really leading anywhere. And what few instances there are of stuff leading stuff somewhere, it's either being abandoned, I guess in this case, or like it doesn't feel like it's leading to anywhere meaningful. Because like we have like a major villain that's just being cut away, right? He gets beat by fucking Ant-Man, and apparently like in Loki season 2, like they have like some kind of like a closure with Kang, but I haven't seen season 2 yet, which I probably should because I really liked Loki season 1. But that was like when I was still on the MCU train.
Yeah. Well, there's still time, I guess, but I'll defer to your judgment and you fill me in on it.
We'll see whenever I get around to it. There's too many games to play.
Yes, absolutely. There's way too many games to play.
Way too many games to
I'm
play. We're playing Trails
up
now,
for the-
and then I have Black Myth Wukong coming out at the end of this month, and I'm probably gonna pick it up.
You know what? I'm gonna buy it day one.
You know, by day one. All right. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, because why not?
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
I'll finish Trails by then. I'm actually almost done.
Yeah, I know you're almost done. It's not that long compared to the other ones.
Yeah,
so
well,
we
because
should definitely be done by then.
yeah,
I probably will finish it by like next week or maybe the week after, but definitely before because I think Wukong comes out like the last week of this month.
alrighty then.
All right. So how about we walk on over to some Bungie news?
Sure thing.
Okay.
I'll let you start us off.
All right, so this first one is, man, this was sad and anger-inducing at the same time.
Yeah.
This one has the internet royally pissed off, and it's probably the biggest news that we have here, which is why we're
Royally
starting
pissed.
off with it first, and that is Bungie has now been hit with another wave of layoffs, and as of this time of recording, there's now going to be an additional 220 staff who will be laid off. This is in addition to the over 100 staff that was laid off last October, I think. And this comes fresh off the successful launch of the Final Shape, which a lot of Destiny players have considered to be like the best expansion that Destiny 2 has done so far. It's really brought the game back to form. But unfortunately, it seems that the devs are not going to be able to celebrate that success for very long because they will be laid off. And interesting thing about this is, of course, they have like a statement, right? Which is written by the CEO, Pete Parsons, who we are going to talk about later on because he is a very interesting man. So I'm not really going to read the whole statement because it's very long, but essentially the TLDR is, we have, some economic situation, right? We have to make the tough decision to lay off a percentage of our staff because we ended up spreading ourselves too thin between Destiny, Marathon, and like I think a few other projects they have on the side that have not been announced yet, and they haven't seen the returns on Destiny enough to actually, finance all the projects. So, and also there's going to be some staff that are going to be, there are 75 exactly according to Bloomberg, who are going to be moving on to another studio. It's going to be under Sony's control, and they're going to be working on a new IP set in a sci-fi universe. So before we talk about Pete, the interesting thing about this is, well, first, if remember back when Bungie was acquired by Sony,
Yes.
the executives were like, "Oh yeah, guys, don't worry. Like this is going to ensure a future, right? We're not going to have any layoffs of this, right? We're going to get everything we could have ever wanted." And then zoom forward to now, and Bungie staff is being cut by about 40%. So they've lost essentially half their entire staff
within
the span
what?
of like 2 or 3 years, because I think they got
Yes.
acquired about 2 years ago.
Yeah, the report says mid 2022.
Yeah, so it's been about 2 years, and they've, released one really bad expansion pack, and one really good expansion pack. But now we're in a situation where Bungie is essentially have cut their staff by half, almost half. This also has led to some high-profile layoffs with senior executives Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy being laid off, and these guys have worked at Bungie for a very long time. And this comes off of Jeff Grubb's podcast, who's a very credible source, and he says that they were actually working on a game called Payback, and it was going to be a new game set in the Destiny universe. That was going to be like a spin-off game, so not necessarily Destiny 3, but it was going to be something new with the Destiny IP. So, these guys have been here for a while. They were at Bungie for a while, and Smith in particular was executive director at Bungie and became a public-facing representative for the studio. Okay, yeah, and he was in charge of narrative, and then I could have sworn I did highlights for these. All right, so then Noseworthy was also vice president of the Destiny universe. So like they both these guys were very important in pretty much shaping the direction of Destiny and its narrative as well. So we have 220 staff, right? Half of your staff is being laid off essentially over the past 2 years, and now you're losing, high-profile people. That's also in addition to, I don't remember if you remember the last waves where they I forgot his name, Salvatore, with like one of the composers.
Yeah,
who's considered to be amazing. Like he was like there with like I think Marty O'Donnell as well.
Yeah, I think they both worked on all the Halo soundtracks up. Right,
and they're great. Yeah, they're great soundtracks, right? And these guys are like living legends, and now they're out of job in the place they helped build up. I mean, I'm sure they found employment elsewhere, but
absolutely.
Well, it's just a shame. Yeah, we did cover that. We did cover that, and I know Marty has had not very nice things to say about Bungie, which is funny because no one seems to have anything nice to say about Bungie, particularly.
Oh, gee, I wonder why.
Particularly their leadership, because surprise, surprise, right? Apparently, this has been mostly leadership's fault. At least if you were to go by former employees. So we have actually some reactions from some employees that were talking about how things have been, right? The Bungie's global community lead, for example, who goes by DMG04, said that the layoffs were inexcusable and that it's time for leadership to take accountability. Good luck with that, right? Because it's always the workers who have to suffer the accountabilities. And we also have like tweets of like some people who didn't even know they were getting laid off until they saw the tweet themselves.
Yep.
Which that's always a classy move. Great. Always watch out for your employees, guys. Great. We also have like the player support team, which I don't really know what that is specifically. They were essentially gutted, pretty much. We have people saying like Alex the Great, saying that pretty much her whole team is gone. We have Liana Rupert talking about how this player support team is gone, how they were a really hard working team, that they were working holidays and weekends. And Liana Rupert in particular is also interesting because she actually has a story that she wants to share on Twitter, but we'll go over that in a little bit. It has to do with Pete, so we'll get to Pete in a moment. But we also have My Name is Biff, who's a lore YouTuber for the Destiny community, and he also laments the leadership decisions and about how leadership has been really bad. And this is something that has been really felt by the Destiny community for a while. Like the Destiny community has been for a long time saying like, this leadership kind of sucks. Like these guys do not know how to run a company. Then we also have people and employees asking for Pete Parsons to actually step down. So once again, you have Liana Rupert tweeting, "Step down, Pete," right? Like you have a lot of people asking to Parsons to take like a really big pay cut or step down entirely.
Yeah.
And now to get to Pete himself. So Pete is an interesting guy because he is the CEO of Bungie. And ever since the acquisition by Sony 2 years ago, apparently, this man had enough money lying around to spend $2.3 million on classic cars from an auction website called Bring a Trailer. And
Yep.
this is, you can actually see his account. I'm not going to actually click on it, but you can actually see his account if you go through to Bring a Trailer and you look up his username, which actually this Twitter account tailored, who's, I believe he's just a Bungie player. And he actually provided a spreadsheet, and it shows how Pete Parsons spent alone $500,000 since last October when there's layoffs. And God only knows how much he's spent since then, but over the span of 2 years since Bungie was acquired, this man had, $2.3 million lying around to spend on used cars. All right, so before we go on, any thoughts? Because I've been talking for a while.
Well, I mean, buying classic cars while your company is going under, essentially. Company's going under your leadership. And again, every time I see CEOs like this, I always think of Nintendo CEO. Oh, I forgot his name. It was the one that died.
Sawada?
Sawada, yeah.
Sawada?
Wait, what?
Satoru Iwata.
Yeah, Satoru Iwata. When Nintendo was going through its problems and it was going through a little rough patch, he himself took a pay cut to spare the jobs of all his employees underneath because, of the whole leadership mindset of like, like I'm the leader. I'm the one who got us into this mess, so I'm going to, let a chunk of my paycheck go so that these good hardworking people can keep their jobs because they are good people. That there seems to be an opposite mentality with these gaming companies, which unfortunately is the norm. But it's kind of crazy how fucking brazen they are with how much they don't give a shit. Like buying cars when your company and its workers are not doing so well, and it's publicly known that they're not doing well. So, I think their calls for him to step down is absolutely warranted. Because clearly this guy has not been doing a good job for a while now. Oh, excuse me.
I don't know why I always get gas in these episodes, dude. Every
So
time
that's that
I
water,
have to sit
that water
here
you're drinking.
and yeah, that's probably what it is. So I was just drinking water too fast, and yeah. So I mentioned Liana. She actually has a story about our buddy Pete, old stinky Pete. So I'm not gonna read the whole thing for the sake of time, but essentially she says that she was. Well, actually, no. I probably should just read it. Right? It's quick. Right? So she says, I remember the Friday before the first layoffs, me and another CM were in the lobby, and I was literally talking about how I didn't have enough money for groceries, and that employee services was an angel for helping me have food since I was told to drop all of my side jobs when Chu got laid off. Pete walked right up to us and bragged about a few expensive cars he bought, and we should come to his house and see them. So, so imagine you're complaining to your buddy at work, and your fucking boss just rolls up and goes like, "Yeah, man, so I bought this $100,000 1960 vintage Mustang. You guys should totally come to my house, by the way. Oh, so sorry about the groceries, by the way." So after hearing how we weren't making enough money, we did not make Dylan's money. Dylan was a senior, and we were not allowed to go for any senior roles within our department. He also made shit money when he first started. The pay was atrocious if you were in soft skills. I remember looking right at them and being like, was that weird? Why couldn't he look us in the eye? And just having a bad feeling. I was told I was being too paranoid and didn't sit right. Cute Monday morning getting an HR invite at 6 a.m., even though I specifically said I would never talk to HR about a manager present due to horrible interactions with the head of HR. She's gone, thankfully. When I couldn't get a response of what the meeting was, I knew. Then I started digging, and I have not stopped digging since October. There's so much more to this that won't come out for a few more years to protect people. But I just want to say this falls squarely on leadership. They were amazing members of leadership, Joe and Katarina among them, but the problem at the top has been a problem since the 90s. how QA has been treated, how the devs have been treated. If you dare to ask any questions about, hey, this doesn't seem right, you were instantly labeled anti-Bungie. Some members of LT didn't want a studio, they wanted a cult to worship their legacy. So we're going to take your legacy because it is owed. Especially the people you threw away that spent their entire career, some close to 20 years with you, for you in spite of themselves.
So we gotta wait a few years for Jason Schreier to do an expose on Bungie.
Yep. Right. Yeah, we gotta wait for Jason to work his journalist magic.
Yes, dude. But well, I will say, the head of HR being awful, that doesn't surprise me one bit. HR is there to serve the company, never the employees. Never forget that, people. Never ever forget that. But yeah, but it turns out these cuts were actually kind of already planned, even regardless of the final shape's success. Isn't that right?
Yeah, so according to Stephen Totillo on his private game file newsletter, which he is a credible journalist, by the way. He's done several coverages. I don't know if on here, but I have seen a few. But according to a report by him on GameFile, which is paywalled unfortunately, so I wasn't able to see the whole thing. But the most important parts of it to understand is that, one, the layoffs were planned well in advance, right? So it didn't matter how well they did, right? They were going to get layoffs because got to cut costs, right? Two, many of the employees interviewed in the newsletter think that Sony got fucking gypped and that Bungie pretty much bullshitted their way to getting bought out by them.
Yes.
So the quote here is, I think Sony overpaid for Bungie, one of the former insiders said, on condition of anonymity. I think Bungie sold things they were just not able to deliver. They kind of oversold their financial prospects. You know, it seems to be pretty classic among managers as well.
Yep.
Like, you know, overpromise, underdeliver. So it seems like no matter what, these people were kind of screwed. Their fate was sealed.
Yes.
Months in advance. So
months in advance.
So like it's kind of fucked all around, because even if, you know, Pete Parsons wasn't an asshole, and did actually maybe take the pay cut, it probably wouldn't have mattered, because, you know, these people would have lost their jobs anyways, because him and his buddies decided to make the hard decision to cut their staff by 17% was the estimate.
Yes, true. And also
even more if you consider the 75 that are moving on to another studio.
Oh, absolutely. And to be fair, if they were of that mindset that they would cut their own pay for the sake of their employees, they probably also would have been in that mindset of not trying to sell something that they couldn't deliver to Sony. But because they're assholes from the start, they would be the ones to sell something to Sony that they couldn't bring, just to cut the employees out later, because that's just the mindset that they're in.
Yeah,
The
and
butthole
then to kind of you know taper off this. Apparently there is, according to Jason Schreier, I think there's actually a more recent development, so I didn't include it, but I'm pretty sure it's in the Bloomberg article, which I can't show because it's paywalled. But so apparently Destiny 3 is not in the works, and also Destiny's gonna be kind of winding down a bit so that they can you know, try and save more costs. They're gonna focus more on smaller developments. There won't be any more expansion packs, and it's gonna be more focused on like improving the onboarding process for like new players, because Destiny is kind of a dense game to get into.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be doing that, and they're gonna be working on, you know, smaller updates, so longer seasons, so they can kind of stretch out the content a bit more. But no expansion packs and no Destiny 3, which is pretty devastating news for the Destiny community, because, you know, I think, you know, Destiny community would love to see something new now. Because how old is Destiny? Destiny 2 came out like 2017, I think, right? Something like that. 2017, 2016.
I have no idea.
2017, yeah. Yeah, so it's a freaking, you know, 7-year-old game. So you get kind of tired of the game at that point, and that's kind of you know, reflected by the Steam charts a bit, you know.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty good amount, people.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's kind of, if you see like the charts rate, it's kind of tapered off. Like everyone, you know, had their fill with the expansion pack, and then it's kind of gone back to like normal levels.
Normal numbers, yeah.
Yeah, it's still trending downwards. So it's we're probably gonna see another drop at the end of this month. So it's probably gonna be like hover like around here. -ish.
Yeah.
Wow, 135. I wonder what happened there. 135,000. That's a lot. Okay. All right. So any last thoughts?
Sucks to be a game dev.
Yeah. Shit, Pete Parson. There we go. That's my final thought. And we can leave this final meme here.
Yeah. Believe it or not. Also,
worked on a mediocre game, fired. Worked on a critically acclaimed game, believe it or not, also fired. Yeah, it's been kind of how the industry has been operating.
Yep.
As of late. It seems like it's just never enough, right? This is what happens when you spend way too much fucking money during the pandemic, and don't realize, hey, maybe we spent too much money. And we grew.
Nonsense.
Nonsense, right? Exactly. It's the two bubbles. It's so great because I actually saw the episode last week.
Classic.
What could be worse than two giant paint bubbles? I know. I'm sorry. What could be worse than one giant paint bubble? Two giant paint bubbles. Patrick, whoop, right? They get together, big bubble, and then Patrick
I don't know how this can get any worse. I don't know how this can get any worse.
I don't think this can get any worse. Nonsense. Yeah, that's the game industry right there, bro.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to some more layoffs. So this one's not as quite as dramatic, but still, it's sad to hear because the numbers for this one are fucking astronomical.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it's not it still concerns a pretty big company as far as like processors and shit. So I think it's still a pretty big deal.
Yeah, there's no drama. There's no story behind it. It's kind of like just matter of fact.
Oh, it's just all.
That's what I meant mostly. Like there's no like narrative behind it. It's just I guess shitload of people here just.
There's no CEO buying up classic cars.
Yeah, there's no CEO buying up classic cars. There's no employees threatening to drop dirt in the next few years, right?
Okay.
No, and that is that Intel apparently is going to be laying off around 15,000 people.
That's a lot of fucking people.
That's a lot of fucking people, right? It just goes to show you how big Intel is, because it's pretty much what are like the big processing companies? It's like Intel and AMD.
Yeah, Intel and AMD, and would you count NVIDIA as a processing?
They're
company
graphics cards. Those are graphics.
I mean,
cards.
technically, it still counts as a computer chip. So
yeah, but
Intel,
that's graphics card. Like the is different. Which, speaking of NVIDIA, right? There was a story I remember we were going to cover a while back, but I had to cut it. Like they're worth like $3 trillion, I think.
Yes.
Something insane. They're like right up there with. I did not know they were that big.
They're huge. They actually
are fucking huge. But Intel in this case is going to be a little less huge because in a Q2 or quarter 2 2024 earnings call, they said they're going to be laying off about 15% of their staff, which translates to 15,000. And it's all part of a plan to save $10 billion by 2025. And of course, they say, our revenues have not grown as expected, and yet we've yet to fully benefit from powerful trends like AI. Our growth, bro, we can't. Gotta get that growth. This also comes after there's been rumors for a while surrounding Intel, according to Bloomberg, that there was going to be some layoffs hitting them pretty soon. And this also comes fresh off, or almost fresh off of some layoffs they had back in October 2022, where they let about 5% of their staff.
Yeah. So,
again, just the tech company being hit with waves and waves of layoffs.
Indeed, they are. I mean, it kind of. I wonder if AMD has anything to do with it, because AMD, as far as their processors, have been making really, really great strides, and they're actually legit competitors now. I myself, my first computer that I built was with an Intel i5, but when I built my second rig, I went ahead and went with the AMD Ryzen, because it essentially offered like a better processing deal for like half the cost, because Intel for like for the longest time was making incremental upgrades to their processors only to increase the price, like it didn't match. Like you're paying hundreds of dollars more for the upgrade when the upgrade was only like a 5% increase. but AMD was different. So I wonder if they're starting to feel the effects of people going with AMD instead of the Intel processors.
Yeah, I mean, I myself have an i5. I have an i5 12600, I think. So
Yeah, is
yeah,
that the one I gave you?
no, I bought it. I bought it. I
Oh,
had to
okay.
buy this. This is when I upgraded. Yeah, yeah. Pretty much the only thing I have of yours is the case, the power supply.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Okay, cool.
I did upgrade. So yeah, because I replaced your 970 with the 1080. I'm sorry, with Manny's 1070, and then I bumped it up to the 2080, and then I got a new processor, and then I got a new motherboard. So yeah, no, that it's completely different now.
Okay,
It's a
cool.
completely different computer. No, the left is just a. Ow. Okay, that also is the case. Oh, that hurt. Oh, well, that didn't really hurt. Actually, kind of relieves. All right. So let's keep the layoff train going. Woo woo. Right.
Woo woo.
Great. Yeah. So this is also very saddening. Because this one is not just layoffs, but pretty much the death of an entire subsidiary within a company. And this is a very cool company, and that would be Humble Bundle, but more specifically Humble Games, which is the publishing arm of Humble Bundle.
Yeah.
And apparently, as of the 23rd of July, their entire staff got laid off. And this is a huge blow to the indie gaming industry because Humble Games was responsible for publishing a lot of really, really good games. Right? So just to show you, right? Like these are some games, coming up now, but here's all the stuff that they've published up until now, right? I mean, I know like Hat in Time, that's a game you have, right? You really like that game,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
That's a very good game, well beloved game. The recently released Bow Path of the Teal Lotus is a pretty good like Metroidvania game. It plays like a cute little Japanese fox. Chinatown Detective Agency, which is an interesting like adventure game. Point and click adventure game where like the game has its own internet browser that you could use, and it actually have to actually look up stuff, like you have to Google stuff to like solve mysteries.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, game like Fate Tactics, which is kind of like a little bit of a cult indie game. Flint, Son of Crimson's good game. Ghost Song, also a good game that I actually recently bought. It's a Metroidvania game. Moonscars, another Metroidvania game. Proteus, which is actually one of my favorite games from 2022. And in particular, the amazing Signalis, which was a great Silent Hill, Resident Evil indie game. Really great game. I highly recommend this game to everyone. Like if you love Resident Evil or Silent Hill or like old school survival horror, get Signalis because it's a great game. Very depressing though. You're gonna be crying by the end. But yeah, this very sad to see that all 36 of these people working there are going to be left without a job for quite some time, and also the indie scene is going to have one less ally with them. And so you're probably wondering, and why are they laying off the entire staff? And well, if you ask Ziff Davis, the company that owns Humble Bundle and IGN also, they would say, "Oh, this is part of a restructuring program, right?" But according to this article here on Aftermath by Nathan Grayson, yeah, it's pretty much bullshit. So you have staff on LinkedIn. Right, I feel like I swore I did these highlights unless it was fucking hell. Okay, it was here. God damn it. All right, yeah. So you pretty much have staff going on Twitter saying, "Yeah, this is bullshit," right? There is no one left. Like the entire thing has essentially been shut down and has been handed off to a third-party consultancy company, and the company in question is the PAL Group, who is a consultancy group that has worked with Night Dive Studios, who they do really good re-releases of old classic games and NetEase games. And so the whole reason for this is because, according to employees, Ziff Davis doesn't understand video games. Like that's pretty much what it comes down to. Before I continue, any thoughts so far? Because I've been talking a lot.
No. I mean,
they actually have a recording here, but I want to hear your thoughts first.
Well, I mean, it's kind of weird that you'd call a restructuring when you get rid of all your employees.
Well, I guess it's a restructuring of sort, right? Like if you knock down a house,
No,
The structure's
no.
changed.
Yeah, to nothing, to zero. Yeah, we're gonna restructure the kitchen and just literally destroys the entire kitchen, and it's just a giant hole now in your house. So, I mean, I don't know how the restruct. Well, like you said, it's bullshit. Even the readers, in the tweet, it's the community notes already added context to it, and they're like, "Yeah, when they say
I love community
restructuring,
notes, man.
dude, the community
It's
notes
so
is honestly,
funny.
dude, it's the best thing. It really is the best thing that they've done for X, Twitter, whatever the fuck,
Twitter.
Twitter.
It's literally the
but
actually feature.
it's literally the unactually feature, and it's actually pretty. It's interesting how it goes. Even some people, they'll call out the community notes and they'll actually write back. Like I forgot what it was. They were talking about somebody the other day, and the community notes literally wrote, "Hey man, we're just trying to give him some time."
Okay.
Yeah, but this here, essentially, the reader's notes called bullshit on it, rightfully so. And I mean, it would be the first time that we had to see
I'm sorry.
an
It
owner.
was LinkedIn. I'm sorry. He said on LinkedIn.
Oh, LinkedIn.
Yeah, he said on LinkedIn. The community
Okay.
notes is something different. But yeah, the staff member Chris Radley, who used to be a creative lead at Humble Games before leaving in 2022, yeah, he said on LinkedIn, yeah, this is bullshit.
Yeah. And then the tweet that Humble Games put out was community noted. But I'm really tired of this trend of people who do not understand video games running video game companies. It sucks because either they get hollowed out and they become shells of their former selves, or they just outright shut down.
Yeah. So
Like
I
what's
actually
going
have
on
some quotes on that actually from former employees in the Aftermath article.
Yeah,
So one employee pretty much says, yeah, the business models are just incompatible with each other. Ziff is very good at owning a lot of media and increasing revenue in advertising and Humble Games. I keep saying Humble. Humble Games Publishing was just not something that agreed with the business model. They need money. They need it now. Ziff Davis does not understand the world of game development and the principle that when you invest money, a game is not released in 6 months, but takes time to be done. And we're starting to not like this when they understood it's working. So with their stock going down, they simply decided they did not want to be in business anymore. Their decision was not rational and will really hurt indie development in the long run on top of their employees and projects in development.
yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much what it came down to. Hey, where's my money? We're working on it. well, why aren't you done? It's just a video game. Yeah, I know. That's why video game takes a while, buddy.
Yeah.
Come back like in 2 years.
Oh man.
Yeah,
It's
this
fucking
one's also
frustrating.
kind of anger-inducing too.
Yeah, of course. It's not just half the studio or 20% of the studio. It was literally the entire thing. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, the company's still alive." It's like, with what employees?
Oh, Temtem, that Pokemon MMO, they also published that as well.
Oh, they did. I remember we actually were waiting for that, but it came out in early access and it was mixed reviews.
Yeah, it might be better now, but now we have Power World.
Power World.
Well, Power World's a different game. It's not really Pokemon, but
Yeah, it's more akin to GTA than it is Pokemon. I don't know.
it's like Rust of Pokemon.
Rust, you know what? I like that comparison better. Rust with Pokemon.
Yeah, it's like Rust of Pokemon. But we digress. So yeah, yeah, this was upsetting also to me, especially
of
since
course.
I love indie games so much, and a lot of these games that they've published were really freaking good.
Yeah.
I don't own most of these games, but I have played demos of them, and I have been meaning to play them for some time now. And
Yeah.
they're really good games. They have at least based on the demos that I played of them, like they have so much potential, right? Like Chinatown Detective Agency, it seemed really cool. I haven't played ahead of time, but I know you really liked it, and I know it's well beloved. Like it's considered like
Yes.
a great platformer
Great
game.
platformer.
And
Great.
I love platformers. Signalist, man, Signalist is such a great game. Oh, and Slay the Spire, right? That's considered to be like one of the best roguelites. Like it's a roguelite card building game. It's like considered to be like one of the best. It's actually gonna get a sequel pretty soon. They actually had to switch engines after the whole Unity nonsense. I think they switched to the Godot engine. That's why they took so long to announce it. So like, yeah, we were just switching engines because fuck Unity.
Fuck Unity. Yeah.
Void Bastards, Unsighted. yeah, for a lot of really good games. So it's really a shame that indies have now lost like another outlet to publish through.
Yeah.
All right. So any final thoughts before we move on?
Nah. Fuck CEOs that don't know what they're doing. I really hope they get their comeuppance soon, because this shit's getting old. It was old already a year ago, 2 years ago. Now it's really starting to.
Yeah, I mean now we've hit I think like over 10,000 layoffs in the video game industry. I don't know like as of now, but last I checked it was like no, actually it was like 11,000. Last year it was like 10,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say within 2 years we've had like a fucking shitload of people.
Yeah, over 20 something thousand. But I mean, just this year alone, 2024, we've had 11,000, and last year we had 10,000. So we still got 4 more months to go, and we've already passed the total for last year.
Great. The crash is upon us.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
So let's move on to some more upsetting news.
Indeed.
Because we're not upset enough already. So for this next one, did you ever read Game Informer?
Of course I did.
Yeah. So
my dad.
Uh-huh.
My dad had a subscription, so we'd get them all the time. It's a fucking staple. It's a childhood staple. That's how I would. This is how we would know what games were gonna come out before we had the internet.
Oh yeah, before the internet, this is how you young whippersnappers out there. This was how we learned about new games coming out. Before the time of.
There it is. Oh,
of
there.
Of Twitter and Reddit and all this stuff and Facebook, right? Before Twitch. This is what we had. Oh, that's a sick cover. Holy shit.
That's really fucking dope.
Okay, that's for Elden Ring. Okay.
But you see that there? That's the logo that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
That's my time. That's our time. Oh my god, wait, go back. There was one for the Star Wars The Force Unleashed down by the BioShock picture.
Oh, on this side. Oh, yes, I remember this one too.
I remember that one too. Oh shit, wow.
Yeah,
damn.
so the big thing with Game Informer was that they always had a cover story where they would cover some game that hadn't really been announced yet or hadn't had too much coverage, and they would this huge multi-page expose, and every month there was always some big new game that they were showing off. And it seems now, unfortunately, GameStop is closing them after 33 years of being in business. So
that fucking sucks.
This is really sad. This is going to show you how, print media is truly like a dead medium as far as news goes. Because
it's a shame, dude.
This is one of like the now it's pretty much like it's just like Edge magazine and like Eurogamer magazine. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Of course, we have some very angry employees tweeting out. Right, Kyle Hillard, who is the content director at Game Informer, right, said that it's very frustrating turn of events. They were pretty much almost done with the next issue, but they're gonna have to close up shop. Have Ben Hansen, who is a former employee over at former video producer of Game Informer, and he had some very choice words to say. I'm furious about the end of Game Informer. It was an incredible 33-year run, and then GameStop pumps out the phony, empty farewell message. I'd bet money it was written by AI. Fuck you, GameStop, and a huge fuck you to Ryan Cohen.
You know what? I will also bet money that it was written by AI.
Yeah, I mean, what was the
message?
What was
there? Oh, wait, I think it said it there in that article. Go back. After 33 years of bringing you the latest news, is that it? Oh no, that's the no. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It's just some generic.
Yeah, generic. We're sorry.
I'm not even gonna read it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And apparently they also. Here it is. Right. This is the whole thing. They took down the entire website, by the way.
Yeah.
Because fuck preservation, right? We gotta save money on those server costs. All because they had a ton of great
bandwidth
review. Yeah, they had like a ton of reviews that you can go like back at years and years and years and stories. They were all on here.
Dude, 33 decades worth, man. Fuck. 33 years.
Damn, okay.
Sorry. It was a misinput.
Yeah, three decades worth of stuff. Like just kaput, man. It's all gone.
Yeah, dude. So if you have those issues, those are now considered collector's items. So don't get rid of them, guys.
Yeah, put them in. If they take them out of the wrapping, keep them in that wrapping. Maybe it'll sell for like a couple of hundred in like 10 years.
Yeah. Well, actually, according to the that there it is.
There
dude,
we go. This one. I
there
remember
it
this
is.
one.
Dude, you know what? It's funny. I remember that one from Grandma's Boy. They actually have that Game Informer cover as a poster on the wall, like in the background for one of the scenes. Bro, huge.
Oh yeah, I remember this one. I think I remember this one too. Did I see
Oh
this
yeah,
one?
Shaolin Monks.
I don't know if I saw that one, to be honest.
That's the co-op Mortal Kombat that we played together. I remember that one.
Yeah, I didn't play
Right?
it, but yeah, I didn't play it. I know what it is, but I didn't play it.
Are you sure we didn't play it? Oh, Dark Sector. I remember that
Yes,
one.
I remember this cover story. The cover story made it sound so much cooler than it actually was. It was so much cooler than it actually was. I actually don't remember this one. That's a sick ass cover.
Yeah. I played God of War. That was the first God of War game that I played.
Two?
I didn't play I didn't play the original one. Oh, the Assassin's Creed one, the original one. Go up.
Where?
Up there.
Oh, yes, I remember this one too.
Dude, oh my god. So good, man.
Yeah,
Oh shit, and Assassin's Creed 2.
This one I remember.
Yeah.
This one I remember.
remember
I don't think I ever read this one.
Yeah.
Which I probably should have, because then I would have known the beginning. I would have been fucking confused. Shit.
Yeah. I remember when you first told me, I don't know what it was. I think we were in front of our church, and you were telling me that I don't know if you played the demo or you saw a demo, but
No,
you
my
told
friend
me
brought it over.
Oh, that's right. And then you saw the prologue, and you're like, "It's some fucking future shit, man. Like you're in a fucking computer or something." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I still remember you confused me.
Yeah, I
And
was
then
so confused. What the fuck? Is this the right game? Yeah, this was
Oh, man.
before, the information age is what it is now, because you can be generally surprised by things being fucking
Yes.
weird in the opening. Right? Oh man, I remember this one too.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Redemption. No, I didn't see that one. Not that one. I didn't see that one. This one I remember too. I remember reading the Max Payne.
Mm.
A Max Payne cover story for that.
Oh wow, Def Jam. Wow, holy shit. I never played it, but that was a pretty popular one. Oh yeah, Ken Lynch.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Oh, Bully.
This
I remember that one.
Oh yes, I remember this one also. Yes, so much, man. Ugh, so nostalgic.
This is actual gaming history, dude, and it's just being wiped.
Yep, Resistance 3, I remember that one. Dishonored, I remember this one. Yeah, the Bioshock one. This one's like a classic cover.
Yeah.
Because no one knew shit about this game. Like we just saw that one. We just saw that one weird trailer,
Yeah.
and we were like, "What the fuck is this? Why is this man in a diving suit drilling this dude's asshole? Why is this guy fucking this little girl?" Singularity,
Ooh.
I remember that. Oh wait, you pointed one out?
The one for Ghost Recon on the bottom left.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I actually do not remember this
Yeah.
one.
Well, I played Ghost Recon too. I thought that was actually a really fun game growing up.
Yeah, I mean, and also Game Informer was like why I'm so into games media now. Like not just video games themselves, but like the coverage of them, which is why we're doing what we're doing now. So you can see like Game Informer was a huge influence, at least on me personally.
No, same here. Well, the thing is, it wasn't just games that it covered. It was also our way to like discover some new tech that they were doing too, because it has some tech stuff. It wasn't just games.
Really? I don't remember. I usually just read the cover story, read some reviews, and that was it. They also had like a section at the end where it was like yeah, I'm sorry, if it's like a column called the Gaming Geezer. It was like a parody
Oh,
of like this old man complaining about answering a question like involving gaming in like the most curmudgeon way possible. It was really funny read.
that sounds pretty funny.
Right, there was one. Oh yes, this one. Oh my god, I remember this story. The biggest fucking lie in gaming history. Aliens, colonial marines. The biggest debate in gaming history. This made the way they wrote this article made it sound so fucking awesome, and the trailers made it so hype, and the game came out and we got some massive Call of Duty bullshit. There was so many lies in this. Oh my god,
There's so
it
many
was
lies.
it was just an article of lies. And I don't blame Gabe and Forber for this, right? Because Gearbox and you know Randy was fucking feeding him bullshit. Like it was all probably bullshit footage.
Oh my
They did
lord.
nothing but lie to us. Yeah, Star Trek.
Oh yeah, Star Trek Online.
And so any other thoughts before we move on? Because I mean we could be here like all fucking day. Oh, this one too. This one looked sick. This was like a Command and Conquer spinoff.
Yeah.
It was gonna be a first person shooter. But it was gonna have like RTS elements, like so you were gonna be able to command like entire units, but it was gonna be all from a first person's perspective. You were like a super soldier also, and then it was like delayed and then delayed and delayed and then eventually we stopped hearing about it, and eventually it was canceled. Oh, it was very sad to hear.
Yeah. That is pretty sad.
Wow, oh my god, I forgot about this too. Holy shit, this was 16 years ago. Oh my god. Oh
Man,
lord.
what a simpler time. Ooh, Dragon Age. Oh, Gears of War. Fuck yeah. Yep.
All right. Okay. So we gotta stop. Okay. So
Yeah, we should probably stop. But end of an era. Yeah, kind of ended with a whimper, if I'm being honest. It kind of sucks that the well, that's right, Halo 3 Recon before it was renamed to ODST.
oh yeah, I remember that. All right. You were saying? I'm gonna close this so you can stop being distracted.
Sorry, what I say? End of an era, and I forgot what else I was going to say. Oh yeah, it ended with a whimper. I think the article stated that the last cover story that it did was on Dragon Age Vanguard.
Yeah, Veilguard. Yeah, the
sorry,
Veilguard. Don't forget. Don't you
Sorry.
forget. Not just Veilguard, bro. The Veilguard.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. That makes me pretty superstitious that was the last cover that they did before they got canned. I don't think that bodes well for Dragon Age. The Veilguard.
Don't you forget. Put some respect in that Veilguard.
All right. You know what? You know what this makes me think of? SpongeBob.
What?
Imagine BioWare doing all that work and some of these and some of these and done. Okay, let's see what we have so far.
Break time.
Break time. That's literally BioWare. Man, I'm so concerned and worried for that game, but whatever. That we've already talked about
Yeah,
it.
you know what's funny? I forgot it existed when we were doing our anticipated games.
Because it's not anticipated, at least for us. I really don't care right now for Dragon Age.
Also, that game's not coming out this year.
No,
Ain't no
it's
way,
not.
bro. They're like, no, guys, it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out this year. No, it's not. Quit
No,
lying.
it's not. No,
Quit
it's not.
bullshit.
Sorry, we already had our generational RPG last year,
Yes.
and it did so well that you literally put out a story saying how you stopped production on Dreadwolf. You put a pause. But let's not talk about that. Alrighty.
Alright, So we
what's
have
next?
End of another era.
Oh
At
yes,
this
yes.
Yeah. So, you remember the 360, right? The only-
Maybe
possibly, yeah. That childhood defining console. That
it really was just behind the PlayStation 2.
yeah,
if
just
I'm
behind the
being
PlayStation
peaceful.
2, right? This thing defined our middle school years and part of
It
our
really
high school
did.
years.
Indeed.
And it seems that it's going to be, well, it has gone away. So after 19 years, as of July 29, 2024, the Microsoft Store is now closed, which means you can no longer buy anything on there. You can't download anything off of it. Well, actually, no, you can't download if you already own it. But you won't be
Yeah.
able to buy or access anything on that store anymore. So yeah, I mean, damn, dude, it's so many ends of so many things, right? This
Yeah.
19, Jesus Christ, 19, what the fuck? From 2005, Jesus Christ.
No, that thing lasted for a long time, dude. Even after the Xbox One released, it was this was still huge.
No, I mean, I remember when it was still Microsoft points at the,
Yeah.
which thank God they switched that because Jesus, that was terrible. being forced to spend like $20 on something you want to spend like $12 on
Yep.
because there was no $15 option or something like that.
Yeah. Which I'm sure they did on purpose. But,
Oh yeah, that was definitely on purpose. Luckily they changed it after
Yeah.
a while, but there's so many memories, right? That you can. I remember like the UI. Let me see if I can find the old UI, dude. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, the UI actually
that's the updated UI when they changed it to those
to the avatars.
stupid ass those tiles. No, bro. I want that old shit.
And you got
There
it
we
is.
go.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Oh my god, look at all the gamer pictures that you can pick.
Yeah, before the avatar stuff. Yeah, this
Yeah.
nonsense. They tried to make it like Windows.
Oh yeah.
What was
Windows
it?
8.
Oh god, fucking garbage.
They tried to fucking synchronize all the window ecosystems to look like the Windows Phone and Windows 8 with the tiles and crap.
Oh fuck that! Thank God they abandoned it.
God, what a fucking misstep that was.
Windows.
You
8
remember
was, Windows 8 was just a tragedy in of itself. You remember me bitching about it all the time.
Of course I did. And the fact that, also the Windows Phone, which I would argue was way worse.
Oh really? Have you ever seen someone with a Windows Phone?
No, well, once.
Once? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, actually, I think, Man of Steel, they had a Sony that ran on the Windows Phone platform. Like, it was such a blatant product placement that it actually took me out of the movie for a minute.
Oh really?
Yes,
oh yeah,
dude.
this was the.
That's it.
This
That's
was
the one they.
This was the no. This is the in between. This wasn't the last one. This was the one in between.
Oh yeah. That's
This
when they
one was
first
the
introduced
last one. This was the
Yeah.
first one. This
Yeah,
was
that was the first
OG.
one. Yes.
Then they
And
changed
then they
it to
did-
this, which was
Yes,
okay.
and that's-
It was fine. I actually liked it for the most part. And then we got
Yeah.
this bullshit.
Yeah. I think they tried to bring it in with the Xbox One.
Yeah, because the Xbox
It's-
One had this, and that UI was garbage.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Just to access your games, you have to go through so many different menus.
Yeah. Or you can just take advantage of the Xbox and having it open your games for you, which that in and of itself was also a piece of shit.
No, it's so bad. So bad. Oh yeah. So that's it for that, right? 360 store. It's been closed. Right? How much?
Yeah.
There's only so much
Num-
we can say on it.
Yeah. We can reminisce, but we already did that with Game Informer.
All right. So let's go on to some union news. All right. So you can do the next one. I'll do this one because I'm game. So we have the SAGAFTRA, which is the Hollywood Union. I always forget what it stands for. It's like
Screen Actors Guild.
Screen Actors Guild, and then what's the after part?
Oh, that I don't know.
Okay, well, the Screen
But I
Actors
know-
Guild. Yeah, so the Screen Actors Guild has unanimously voted to go on strike against major video game publishers. And that would... Bro, what? I think I lost my highlight. I know for sure I did highlights on these. I must have... I don't know what the fuck. Okay, so this includes Activision, Blind Light, Disney, Electronic Arts, Formosa, I don't know what the hell that is, Insomniac, Llama Productions, Take-Two, VoiceWorks Productions, and WB. And essentially the big sticking point for them is the protections against UI. So for those of you who don't know, I'm sorry, AI. We're talking about UI for so long. AI. Against the use of AI, you know that companies really want to try and replicate or copy actors' voices using AI so that way they can use them in perpetuity, right? That awful contract that Hollywood tried to pass off and SAG-AFTRA went strike against. Well, the video game company, right? Video game industry will definitely love to do that, right? And considering how much less unionized the... Oh, okay, I have to stop here. All right, so where was I? Sorry, folks, I had a little bit of an interruption there. But
No problemo.
yeah, so we were talking about the AI, right? We know that the video game industry is going to be licking at the chops to try and get AI voices into the games as soon as possible so you don't have to pay actors or deal, with those pesky schedules and people, right? Just get the
Yes,
machine in
dude.
and just automate everything.
And maximize profits.
But good thing for the SAG-AFTRA, we had SAG-AFTRA here that's trying to form a contract that provides protections against AI, and they've been kind of going back and forth over the years, pretty much ever since the first strike against the studios themselves. They've been going back and forth for quite some time now, but now they're going to be going on strike, and it's going to be interesting to see like how this affects games, because there's a lot of actors out there, but like voice acting in particular, I don't know how many people do voice acting, like who are into SAG-AFTRA and in voice acting, because voice acting is kind of its own thing, whereas SAG-AFTRA is mostly movies and TV actors.
Yeah.
So any thoughts?
Yeah, protection against AI is kind of a big deal, especially, well, as you say, AI can replicate actor voices, and that's a threat to their livelihood. These companies can just make their own voices or voices that sound like certain actors and be like, oh yeah, look, we got this big name actor, voice and shit, and but it's not actually them. It's just an automated version of it. So I think this is kind of important, which for a reason that we will talk about in the last article, it really is just about not really making work easier, but just companies trying to maximize profits by cutting out the working man or their workers, because you don't need to pay AI, so that might lead to a lot of people losing their jobs, in a sense.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what the hell happened with the highlights. Yeah, I have them here at the top, but they're not fucking showing up. Right, you can see it right here. They're here. Yeah, I did them. I did them yesterday.
And I guess Chrome was just like, fuck you.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck happened.
It showed that they're there.
Unable to locate highlight on. Okay.
Unable to locate highlight.
Right,
it's right fucking there.
Alright, bro, whatever.
I guess Chrome also lies to you like Windows 11.
Yeah, Chrome went on strike against me. Here's my fucking highlights.
Disney, Google caught you talking shit about. Oh Lord, that's funny.
Yeah,
but
so
yes,
it's gonna be interesting to see how this unfolds. We don't know
Yep.
who or what games are going to be impacted, but definitely there will be some impact somewhere along there. You know what? I hope SAG-AFTRA, get everything that they want, man, because the video game industry is very ruthless. I would say much more so than Hollywood.
I agree.
Because,
well, it's partly. Well, partly because I think we discussed earlier, the video games industry is like the least unionized, so everything is super
least
cutthroat,
unionized, least regulated, and there really isn't like a huge precedent for like regulation or like self-regulation, really, because for a long time, right? Initially, Hollywood kind of regulated itself, right? Like with the Hays Code and stuff, and then eventually, the ratings boards was introduced, and then eventually, they came up like with contracts like for actors, where actors can actually work between different studios instead of it being exclusively one studio. So there's been like a long history of reform and progress being made among labor rights in the movie sphere and TV sphere, but that hasn't been the same in video games, because
no, it's still pretty much the Wild West where anything goes.
Companies will be able to do whatever the fuck they want for like 40 years, pretty much. So this next one, I'm actually going to leave this to you. One, because my highlights are all fucked up, and two, because I'm tired and my throat hurts. So
no, absolutely, man.
For like the past 6 stories.
Yeah, well, unions and layoffs, issues, and also video game preservation are near and dear to you. But this is near and dear to me, considering I used to be on the WoW crack. Yeah.
Yep, the war crack. On that shit.
Yeah. But I've been strong. I've been strong for fucking, I can't even remember how long. In fact, I don't even think I open up I don't open up BattleNet anymore. So.
Yeah, because without Overwatch, we don't. We got it on Steam, so.
Yeah, but even then, I only played for like 3 months. But in any case, so this is actually kind of good news. So over at Blizzard, the entire World of Warcraft team has officially unionized. So just like with Bethesda that we covered last week, there's another wall-to-wall union occurring at Blizzard Entertainment, and it's encompassing the entire development team of WoW, which includes designers, engineers, producers, artists, quality assurance testers, and other developers that are a part of the team. And this is everywhere because they have multiple offices around the country. So
Yeah, they have Irvine, mostly in Irvine, but they also have some offices in Massachusetts.
indeed, yes.
And actually, a QA department has formed a second union over in Texas Blizzard.
Oh, see, I didn't even. Damn, that's actually pretty cool.
Yep.
So
That's in my highlights that do not fucking show up.
it's Well, it's funny because you can pull up the list of highlights. So just pull up that list and just read.
It is. It doesn't show on screen. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's invisible, but it's here, folks. I promise you.
I can.
I don't know what's
vouch for
happening.
that.
You see this circle, dude? That means there. I mean, you can see them because you're sharing your screen.
Yeah. That's actually pretty cool how that does that. But in any case, so yes. So as we know, it sucks to be a game dev. It really sucks to be a game dev at Blizzard Entertainment.
Yeah.
Especially after the I would say this the bottle that broke the breast milk back bottle. Damn, that joke landed so awfully.
That was no.
But cut that out, please.
Okay,
but
sure. I'll replace it. I'll dub it over with something else.
Yeah, just dub it over with some other shit. But ever since
the titty milk.
no, I was gonna say the drop of breast milk that spilled the bottle.
Okay, look, Blizzard steals titty milk. That's a joke, okay? If you know, you know.
If you know, you know, and I'm sure you know.
It'll never not be funny.
It'll never not be funny. Well, I mean, yeah. But essentially, ever since the California lawsuit near the end of 2021, essentially blew the lid open on Blizzard's harassment, inequality, and bro culture. A lot of calls for change have been happening at Blizzard. Oh, and also of course, the infamous stealing breast milk from pregnant coworkers. They staged a walkout in June 2021, which we all remember pretty fondly. But it seems that they've actually been quietly behind the scenes doing some work. So apparently, this has taken 3 years, and they were trying to get 500 people, which I think they ended up doing because, I believe it was an official vote of over 500 eligible employees plus the 60 over at the Texas Blizzard office. So they have here, I forgot what the guy's name is. Samuel Cooper began working on the organization effort near the end of 2021, and that he was working tirelessly to make sure that he had the necessary support, and also, talking to people to see, the conditions that, getting a tally on what it is that people wanted, better working conditions, better pay, job protection, and all that stuff. What's interesting to say is this man wanted to make it clear that it isn't an attack on the WoW leadership, but they just want to make sure that their voices are heard, because as they probably know from their colleagues around the industry, they don't want to end up what he calls numbers on a spreadsheet. So he wants to make sure that his people and their jobs are essentially safe. And it's pretty cool because it was actually boosted by support from Microsoft, where the Microsoft's commitment to labor neutrality essentially allowed them to organize without company interference. So, I wouldn't say they're supported by Microsoft, but they're essentially letting the unionization efforts go without issues. So now that they've officially decided to unionize, they are going to, I guess, bring their demands to the table eventually for negotiations with Blizzard Entertainment, which I think is pretty dope because WoW is, the most well-known and I think the oldest running MMORPG currently. Am I correct?
Like in official capacity, maybe. EverQuest is a thing, but I don't know if it's privately run. I don't know I don't know if it's run like by, I think by Sony. I don't know if Sony still runs EverQuest. It might be privately. So I guess, yeah, like it's at least the biggest.
Yes, I would say it's literally it says right here. One of the world's biggest and longest running MMORPGs. So, World of Warcraft.
I was definitely running for a long time. 20 years, dude.
Yeah, dude, 20
Almost
years.
20 years. Maybe 20 years. I think it like this month. Like, I forgot. It came out 2004, 2005. So
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So like
Yeah,
in a
it
few
did.
months.
Yeah, so in a few months, it's gonna celebrate its 20th anniversary, which is a huge deal because this game, uh, it did a lot. It really was a culture defining game. Every gamer has played this game or at least tried it out. I know you tried it out.
Yeah. No, I was like, I guess MMOs just aren't my thing.
Yes, yeah.
Really
But
cool designs. Like I love like the way that everything looks. I like the world, right? But I can't gel with. It's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, understandable. But I myself attribute World of Warcraft to my love for gaming. But it has being under the tutelage of Blizzard, they've experienced a lot of abuse and harassment. So now, and of course, they're trying to make sure that they don't lose their jobs easily.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, to add
in the
further,
event-
oh, sorry. Finish your thought.
No, I was just saying, like, this is a game that is near and dear to a lot of people, and these people, they want to make sure that they're taken care of, especially the artists, because as we know, the Blizzard artists are masters at their
Oh,
craft,
yes.
and even as good work as they do, they most likely will be laid off at a moment's notice. In fact, they will probably be the first to get laid off if there was ever a need to do so.
Yeah,
So
Blizzard's art teams are like some of the best, and they're the most consistent as well because like it doesn't
yes,
matter how shitty the game itself is, it's gonna look great. It's gonna look really great, and it's gonna really catch your eye, and it just has a look to it that like no one else can really replicate.
yeah,
Like
it
say
really
what
does.
you will about Overwatch. Overwatch is still a good looking game.
Yeah,
It
it
looks
is.
fucking good, and it's an 8-year-old game. WoW's a pretty decent looking game, right? Diablo looks really good. Diablo 4 looks sick as hell. Diablo 3
Yes.
looks pretty good. What else? What's a big? I feel like I'm forgetting something. I mean, like Hearthstone, but Hearthstone's like cards and shit. But like, you get the idea, right? Like the art team's always great, and also the cinematics team also always great. Like the cutscenes are all sick as well too.
Yes.
That Diablo 4, the trailer for the expansion pack, was really freaking good. And it just makes you
Yes.
wonder, why can't these people just make movies? Like, they just get into animation.
They really should. They probably make a fucking killing, if I'm being honest with you.
They absolutely would. Just make movies on your IPs or, like, mini-series or something. Just get those people.
Yeah, or
used.
shorts. Yeah, or just like shorts.
Yeah. Well, to add detail to the union and their demands, there are two in particular that they really want to focus on, and that is pay equity and work from home. So, back during the pandemic era, and even before then, there was concerns about how much Blizzard employees were being paid and the work from home policy. The work from home policy is a little bit more recent. That happened after the pandemic was starting to wind down, and Blizzard was like, "All right, come on back. We need you here for at least 3 days out of the week." And a lot of people were like, "What the fuck?" Like I kind of moved out like from Irvine because it's expensive as fuck, and so
Yeah.
can't really go back there. Or like other people are like, "Hey, like I don't want to commute 2 hours to get to work because I can't afford Irvine." And Blizzard was like, "Well, sucks to suck. You don't get to work, right?" And really, like, there's really no reason to not let people just work from home because you just sit at a fucking computer all day long, and
Yeah.
and like meetings and stuff like that, you can just do that on Zoom. There's very, I mean, there's a few benefits for doing stuff in person. And then for pay equity, there was I believe like a spreadsheet like around the time when they were doing the walkouts that showed that Blizzard employees were making like 30 to 40% less than their contemporaries. Like Riot was paying way more, and Irvine, California, really California as a whole, is a pretty expensive place.
Oh yeah.
And these people were making like $10, $12 an hour in some positions, and like some of them even said they reported they couldn't afford food in the own company cafeteria because they made such little money. And that is insane because Blizzard's logic was like, well, you get paid in exposure and you get paid in the privilege of being able to work Blizzard, right? Because Blizzard for a long time were like the rock stars in the gaming industry. They were at the top of the game. They could do no wrong. Diablo was amazing. World of Warcraft pretty much took over the entire world. Then Overwatch came out and that took over the entire world. So, Blizzard can do no wrong, which means the management team could do no wrong, which means, it's an honor for you to work and you're going to fucking love, making scraps. And some people did put up with that, and now that really doesn't hold water anymore because Blizzard's not exactly what they used to be.
They're not the rock stars anymore.
They're not the rock stars anymore, and times are different now. Everyone's unionizing. People are rising up to labor rights and workers' rights. So this was long time coming.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I think we said enough on that. We'll move on to our next thing.
Indeed. Exactly. Now this is the big one.
Yeah, this one's a dude. Yay! My highlights are here. Thank God. I was gonna be like, maybe we should just end the recording. I was gonna end.
But no, it's here.
It's here. Thank God.
If your highlights didn't appear, just fuck it. That's it. Done.
I'll sign off.
All right. Lead us into it.
Yeah, so this one's really huge, and this one was actually this one was not talked about, which was very kind of upsetting too, because this is very important. But this is something that just didn't really make the rounds in gaming discourse. I didn't see too many YouTube videos on it. I didn't see anybody really discussing this, but this is very important because it's essentially an entire expose written by Brian Merchant for Wired, which do exposés all the time on all sorts of different things. And it's about how AI is already invading jobs in the video game industries. So I'm not really, obviously, we're not going to read the whole thing. We're going to just summarize it, but it's a very long article, and there's a lot of things to go over. I do highly recommend it. I'm probably going to put the link in the description for those of you who are interested in reading it. It's not paywall at all, so you can just read it right away. At least I'm pretty sure it's not. I didn't have to pay anything, so
I think. Well, I did get a message saying that you have access to this article, but the next one is gonna be required.
Okay, so make sure this is the one.
Yeah.
Make sure this is your one. Yeah. So essentially, the article opens up with testimony from Noah, who is an anonymous employee over Activision, and he speaks about how generative AI tools like Midjourney and Stable Diffusion were being used for producing concept art. And that's a lot like what the article covers, mostly about how AI is going to very greatly impact the arts departments, at least in the short term. God only knows what's going to happen in the future, but in many cases, right, AI is going to be used to make concept arts or storyboards early on for the early portions of game development. And of course, there's gonna be a lot of ethical questions concerning that, especially with the use of copyright material and stuff. But Noah in particular says that when he got the email from Michael Vance, the former CTO of Activision Blizzard, he said that he felt like their humanity was being thrown away, that they were being replaced by machines.
Yeah.
Right. And apparently AI is also a really big concern with actually a GDC, the Game Developers Conference, reporting on a survey that 49% of the 3,000 respondents to the survey said that they use AI in some capacity during their work, and also 4 out of 5 said they had ethical concerns about its use. So obviously, it's going to be something that's really concerning, especially if you're an artist, right?
Yes.
Then they also get another testimony from another artist by the name of Violet, who is a technical artist, and she's also worked in the industry for a little over a decade. And she talks about how this is Pandora's box has been open, right? We said earlier, this is going to be the Wild West, right? Well, this is going to be the Mad Max Wild West with AI thrown into the mix. because there are just so many things surrounding AI that just the law has not caught up yet, like ethical concerns
Yes.
and uses of it within the work environment. So another important thing to note is how this is a very subtle process, right? Like a lot of people wouldn't really think when they think of AI usage, right? They think of something like more obvious, right? Like they use AI to like make a character model or something. But this is something being used in the early stages of game development. Like I said earlier, with storyboarding, concept arting, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
a lot of it can be felt through the fact that many employees are laid off and they're not replaced by someone else. They're usually replaced by the AI. So like an artist will do however much work they need to do to like teach the AI whatever it is needs to learn to make concept art, and then they get fired the next day.
Yeah.
And so AI is of course being used to cut corners and stuff. And then there's also another testimony here from Molly Warner, who's the environment artist. Used to work on Overwatch actually for a little back in the day. And she talks about how like everyone that she knew, all the artists were pretty much against the use of AI generated images. And that's kind of like a running theme throughout the article, that like every artist is like, yeah, no, this is not a good thing.
Yeah, of course. I mean, understandably.
But and just companies have different philosophies. There's kind of like two schools of thought that the article points out, where it's like one is like, no, this is really bad, we should not use this at all. Blizzard in particular don't use it, but they do have like their own proprietary version of it that they're working on. So
Yeah.
who knows what's going to happen, but they don't allow any third-party uses of it, apparently. But then you have other companies like, I forgot what it was. There was some company I never heard of. It's here somewhere. And about like how they were like, oh yeah, we're going to use this completely. Like we're going to use it we're going to treat it like Roblox, where like you can make any game you want. All you have to do is just type in writing prompts for it.
Yeah. Which is kind of scary to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's on one hand it is kind of cool, admittedly, to like let your customer make like their own game, but at the same time, right, like that human element is very important to like, because many play decisions and design decisions are informed by human experiences, right? Like Dark Souls, for example, right? I use Dark Souls because Miyazaki's kind of like he's very outspoken about like his vision of the game and like where his inspirations come from. So like one of the things that Dark Souls is known for is its very cryptic lore, right? And about how the game trusts the player to like kind of piece things together and leave things up to interpretation. And that was inspired by Miyazaki's personal experiences in trying to read Lord of the Rings in English, because the kid, he loved reading. And he tried to read Lord of the Rings in English, but he's Japanese, so he doesn't know a lot of English. So a lot of it he had to come up to with his own interpretations. So he kind of like imagined the lore like in his head, and so that's what inspired him to design the storytelling of Dark Souls in the way that it did, and that led to an entire whole subcommunity within the Souls community. Like there's entire channels devoted to just dissecting the lore and interpreting the lore, and you have forums and forums and forums of people like just discussing the lore. And so like things like that would be kind of lost if you could just type something in, because like an AI is not going to be able to figure that out. It doesn't matter what you feed it.
Yeah.
It's not going to figure that out because it can't experience that, because it's not a person. So any thoughts so far?
I mean, we've kind of already went over AI and its role in like the SAG-AFTRA strike. And now, the layoffs are probably going to be way worse if AI, well, I mean, AI is, like you said, AI is already kind of in the industry, which also could be responsible for the layoffs aside from economic conditions. But definitely the artists have a lot to be fearful for, because there's a lot of those like concept arts that we see on on YouTube. We see it happening, like the AI creating stills, but now they're actually making full-fledged like motion animation, which is pretty weird. Like I've been seeing a lot of it in YouTube. There was one that I saw where it was essentially Grand Theft Auto Vice City and Panavision, which is like an old 1970s, 1960s like TV, which is very like vintage, and they used AI to make it. And I mean, it looks pretty good. considering that it's like a moving picture, more or less. So it's getting a lot better, a lot quicker, and at the very least, artists will have issues because hey, if we can get AI to do it for free, why do we need to hire you to draw or to make art? So it's something to consider, and it's something that SAG-AFTRA is trying to fight with the whole voice issue with AI, and now I think artists should unionize to fight against like the art usage, the AI used for art.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone should be fighting against it, right? Because if it's not just the art department, they're going to start using it in the, I don't know, like the level
Coding.
design department, the coding
Yeah.
department, right?
Yeah.
People responsible for programming, people responsible for level design, right? They're gonna go after all these departments because they're gonna try and automate what they can to save costs.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So,
And
and
there
they
actually
will.
are some instances of AI being used in Activision that the article points out. Right, there's like one instance of an AI generated cosmetic being available in Modern Warfare 3, which I think I remember hearing about this. Yeah, this thing, right? Apparently, this thing was like made with AI, like conceptualized by AI, and I think like the artist, like an artist found like there's a lot of similarities between this and his work, and yeah, he wasn't too happy about it. I don't know what happened afterwards. I don't remember what happened. The follow up was, but I know this was like a little bit of a controversy.
Is it still for sale? That
I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't mention here. And like it seems like well, at least according to the article, AI usage has been slowly seeping within the Activision side of it. Like they've been using GPT 3.5 and other generative AI tools for concept art and marketing materials, and also of course Activision, it was like, no guys, we're going to use this for internal concepts, and don't worry, we won't replace you, right? And then at the end of that year, which was 2023, I believe, yeah, Activision laid off 1900. I'm sorry, in late January.
Yeah.
I think of this year, yeah, laid off 1900 Activision Blizzard and Xbox employees. Of course, that was also an effort by Microsoft as well. That was one of the big, yeah. That's right. So then Noah, the source from earlier, says that like Activision, it was the same. A lot of 2D artists were laid off. Remaining concept artists were then forced to use AI to aid in their work, right? So Saya mentioned earlier, right? A lot of these artists are brought on to feed the AI whatever it is needs to learn, and then they get laid off afterwards by the replacement.
And then the AI has all their art saved, and they use that as a reference point to generate their content.
And then on top of that, you hires have to be willing to use generative AI. So it's being listed as like a requirement. Like, hey, no, you need to be okay with using AI. You need to know how to be able to use it.
Yeah.
Which is also a very scary thing because it's like, well, why would I work there then? Because I'm going to be there for like 6 months and then the machine's going to replace me.
Yeah, exactly. The machine's going to learn what it needs to learn from me, and then when it has nothing else to learn, you will inevitably be the first to hear about it, and then proceed to fire me. But yeah, it sucks too, because I remember when we were younger, like with games like Left 4 Dead and I mean, well, I was gonna say Back 4 Blood, but that's an awful example. I'm just gonna stick with Left 4 Dead. The AI director was the coolest shit ever because it literally changed like the gameplay or like the pathing, so that it was a new experience every time you played. And I thought that was one of the best uses of AI. Well, I don't even think it was artificial. Would you consider that artificial intelligence?
Yeah, it's AI. I mean, AI has been used in any industry. Like enemies use AI, the director uses AI, right?
Yeah, and then those were excellent, excellent uses of it. But now it just seems like they want to have whole ass games created by AI, which but they're starting with the arts department, and like we said, they're next going to come for the coding, the level design. It's going to be randomly generated maps. Excuse me, randomly generated models for characters and stuff.
Well, procedural generation is a thing already.
Yes, yeah, but procedural generation is more like it's more random, I guess you would say.
Yeah, It
Yeah.
is randomized. It's like think Deep Rock, right? Every
Yeah.
time you go into like you're in the same biome, but the actual geography of the place,
Yeah,
the
or No
topography is
Man's
going to be
Sky.
completely different. Or No Man's Sky, right?
Yeah, with planets and stuff. So, but but those are small aspects to the game that are procedurally generated by AI. Now we're talking about whole ass games. You know, the art right up to the code, the voices, character models, everything will be generated by a single prompt, and that's that's weird. That's weird to think about.
Yeah, and well, speaking of things to think about, there is so according to the same article, there was actually a report from the consulting firm CVL Economics, which was commissioned by an entertainment industry trade groups, that found that the video game industry is using generative AI much more than the TV, film, or music industry. And according to its survey, 300 CEOs, executive managers, nearly 90% of video game companies had already implemented AI programs. So 90% of companies within the industry are using AI in some capacity. They're being used to
Wow.
make storyboards, character designs, renders, even animations. By some estimates within that survey, they said that generative AI is going to contribute to more than half the game development process in the next 5 to 10 years. So,
Oof.
yeah, man, it's really scary because it kind of like just snuck up on us because it feels like no one was really talking about generative AI until like last year. Really?
Yeah.
Like I didn't hear much about generative AI pretty much until like last year. And now it's like so much in the forefront of everything so far. So, it's great that they're doing this unionization now because now is the time to push back against it, right?
Yeah,
Because you wait even you wait another year, it could possibly be too late. It's really good that they're pushing back against things now because God knows the law is not going to catch up to this anytime soon, right?
No, absolutely not.
No, there's struggles to pass like 10 bills in like a
yeah.
year. So God only knows whenever they'll get around to AI. And then, okay, news, right. And so another interesting point that it makes is that it's kind of hard to determine where AI is being exactly used because so many companies consist of like smaller companies and subsidiaries. So it's really hard to tell like what parts of the game is utilizing AI in some fashion. So that can also lead to some difficulties like in investigating it and thus passing a policy on it because you have to know like what parts of it are being used and how and why. But companies, they're kind of complex to like figure out like who is what because you have companies and you have subsidiaries and all that stuff. And then so on to the ethics discussion here. So according to U.S. law, there needs to be, in order to get copyright, you need to have a human author, and that's kind of why like Hollywood isn't as fast with using AI
Yeah.
as it because then they can't get copyright for it. But like for video games, right, you could use it like in the beginning stages, and as long as it show up, in the final product of the game, you could just be like, hey, look, we were just using this for inspiration, right? Like.
Yeah.
We were.
Yeah.
There's no copyright infringement here. Like we're not making money off this. We just, it's like if you Google an image online and look up an artist's works, you're like, oh, cool, I can make something similar to that. It's like that. Like that's probably like the argument they would make.
Yeah.
More or less. So that kind of adds questions of copyright infringement. Like, is it okay to take another artist's work to teach an AI something even without their consent? Does that violate copyright laws? And any thoughts so far? Because I can keep going about this.
No. I mean, no. You're essentially hitting the nail on the head. Like the whole thing about proving copyright infringement is a big deal because they're going to use that argument, and in the end, they really can because AI it has its own brand. Like you can tell when something is AI generated, and people can whine all day about, hey, that looks a lot like like a piece of art that I made, and like, oh no, man, we just told the AI to give us something, and like a beach painting, and it just so happened to make something similar to yours, so I think that's a pretty interesting point.
Yeah, and so another interesting. So actually, there actually is an interesting tidbit here in the article by Andrew Wilson, no less, the CEO of EA.
Oh boy.
He actually said something that was actually very interesting, and it was actually kind of correct. But
Yeah.
he spoke about in an earnings call about how the fear of displacement of the workforce is something we read about a lot. And he knows that in every evolution, agriculture, industrial, there's been displacement of workforce in the near term, but meaningful increases in workforce opportunities over the long term. Our hope is that AI represents the same opportunity. All right. So the first part of it, where he observes about how, like, in every evolution, there's always a displacement of the workforce, it's something that's actually very true, right? Like, you know, we don't really have, you know, people working fields that much anymore, right? Because you can just get on a harvester and just, you know, pick up all your crops that way. You don't have to hire, you know, 500 guys to, like, you know, chop the wheat for you. You can just get on a machine and just go forward. Or irrigation, right? You don't need to go and pick up water, right? You can just build an irrigation system and let the water come to you.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Or like the industrial evolution where, you know, machines can, like, you know, make cotton for, or not make cotton, but like stitch together cotton for you to, like, make socks and shit, right? You don't need a guy there sitting, you know.
Yeah, weaving socks, because,
And so that leads to a lot of people, you know, losing jobs. And, you know, that is something that does happen with us, right?
To that point, as far as progress, he is correct. However, every opportunity, every like progress that has been made in the revolution, like agricultural or industrial, it still required some human input to make the thing. Like, yeah, you don't have 300 people harvesting a crop. You just have one guy driving a tractor or a harvester to harvest the same amount of crops that it would take. So instead of paying 300 people, you just pay one guy. With AI, eventually you reach a point where the AI will learn so much from so many different people that it will have a lot of reference points. So it feels like a lot more people will be displaced.
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
Yeah, so if they were to use AI as a tool like the tractor or the harvester, it would be different. But because AI seems to be poised to do a lot more than what people are advertising it to be, you know, that I'm concerned. Because if these people can see a way to cut costs and maximize their profits, they will do it. And if these people that think that they're going to get displaced can see it, you bet your ass these CEOs see it as well. So, you know.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, so the first part of that quote that I mentioned from him, right, very insightful. The last part, though, at least when you apply it to the games industry, I'm a little, you know, cynical about. Or skeptical.
Same. I share your sentiments, sir.
Yeah, our hope is that AI represents the same opportunity. Like, I don't know, man.
No, man. Like I said, if it's used as a tool, then fine. But it really feels like it's gonna be a big ass replacement and not a tool for people to use.
All right. So then, there's actually some interesting tidbits here also about Riot Games. There's a concept artist by the name of Rachel Cross who gives some testimony about her experience working at Riot Games, and she talks about how, like, it was pretty uncomfortable when they were talking about AI within a town hall meeting in 2023, and she says that she remembered leadership saying, like, "Oh no, guys, we're never going to replace you." Right? That's that bullshit. Yeah. So then, in January of that year, so I don't know, it's like either before or after the town meeting, but January of the year the town meeting happened. I can't believe this guy's name. Pony Ma? I can't believe that's his name.
Yeah.
The CEO of Riot talked about how they were going to integrate proprietary AI models to, like, boost efficiency. And then the week before that, he made those comments. Riot laid off 530 employees, which included Cross. And while she thinks in that specific instance, like, AI didn't replace them, but she just thinks it's a little, like, funny that it did happen in the first place.
Yeah, of course. Like it was a funny coinky dink. Yeah.
You know, but I mean, you know, in the future, who knows, right?
Yeah, dude, who knows?
Well, actually, no, we do know. Like, it's gonna happen, right? There's gonna be people who are gonna get fucking. Right, we got Mr. Robo Artist here to do it for us. We're just gonna kick you off now. Don't need you anymore. You got your work, sucker. Right? You don't have to pay a machine to do it. And then she also mentions about how, like, okay, so this is also a good point that she also makes. I do think AI is a problem, but it's emblematic of a larger issue. Art is undervalued in games, right? It's a race to the bottom to drive down wages by any means, often by outsourcing work to other countries. So that is an important point to make, right? Like, so this isn't us like railing on generative AI in and of itself per se, but the application of it within, capital.
Yes.
Which would be like, okay, guys, we're just gonna cut costs because like we've seen this entire year, it's all been cut costs, right? We just covered 3 stories about laying off, so that in the name of cutting costs and increasing efficiency.
I think the last like 5 episodes we've had stories about layoffs for cut costs.
Layoffs that probably could have been prevented.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for, irresponsible spending during COVID, and if it wasn't for unrealistic expectations for infinite growth for an infinite amount of time.
Just say it. Bad management. Bad management. They made awful decisions.
And then it goes back to Noah talking about how like they've resourced a lot of 3D art assets, right? How like the art department's been like almost entirely outsourced at Activision, and about like it's between like companies like art companies outside of the U.S. using a generative AI to generate their work.
Yeah.
They also point out like, and those companies in other countries like China, a lot of it is in China, and interestingly enough, this guy by the name of Leo Lee, a Hangzhou-based game industry recruiter, told Rest of World, which I think is a publication. Yeah. So like, Rest of World is also another online publication. Yeah, he spoke about how illustrator jobs in China have fallen by 70%.
Ooh.
70%. And due to parts of the widespread availability of generative AI tools, right? So even in the countries where they're being outsourced, right, we're seeing that AI is taking jobs, right? So it's not enough to like, give it to some dude in China who'll do it for like half the work, but then he'll do it for half the work, but then he'll be forced to use AI and he'll probably get laid off too. Or he probably won't even get the job.
That's
a permanent job.
Crazy, dude.
He'll probably just be like on there as a temporary hire.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And speaking of the economics, there's also mention here of a startup in crypto about how, a startup called Crypto in Japan that does AI generated characters. So they actually do like illustrations, models, stuff like that for like half. It's character illustrations can typically cost 100,000 yen, but if you outsource it to them, they'll do it for a flat fee of 4,980 yen and a commercial license of 980 yen per image. That translates to about $692 for every illustration made by a person versus $34 a month to have infinite access to however many images you want.
Crazy, dude.
Which is it's pretty crazy to think about, right? Like how could you beat this stuff? Like,
yeah, no,
you can't beat it. If you're a businessman, right? You're gonna be like, oh shit, I'm just gonna go, $34 a month. I save a shitload of money for all the images I could want.
And the only person that they need to pay is the one to touch up the art, because the AI generated image will be wrought with problems, but touching up
it's gonna add a few extra digits and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But touching up a piece of art that's already more or less done is a lot cheaper than creating a whole new ass work from scratch. So yeah.
All right, and then go further down the article, right? I mean, this is stuff we kind of already mentioned. There is one example that they provide of Treyarch. So, how earlier we mentioned how artists are being forced to be using AI tools and new hires are being asked to be familiar with AI tools ahead of time. Well, Treyarch apparently had an opening for a 2D artist animator to already be familiar with AI tools. And of course, people were not happy, right?
Yeah.
Right, you got one person saying, disgraceful, imagine being the poor soul expected to do 2D illustration, animation, graphic design work, all while portraying every artist across all 3 disciplines, just to help Treyarch shovel out more content gruel, right? I don't know. Oh yeah, and then of course, guy by the name of Reed Southern on Twitter says, Treyarch making it abundantly clear that they have zero concerns about ethics, liability, or copyright with generative AI. I know it's my personal dream to pull a slot machine lever and polish the output for a AAA studio. All right. So if there is one silver lining to this, it's that AI has kind of kickstarted the interest into unions. And this is a bit further down the article.
Indeed.
And so, you know, I mean, perfect timing, right? Because like I said earlier, this is the time to fight against this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely the time.
This is the time. Like you cannot waste a minute at all. So it mentions here Beglov. Oh, damn it. Beglov. Okay. I didn't get his full name, unfortunately. It's somewhere around here. I think he was mentioned earlier. We kind of like skipped over it. But pretty much a guy at a panel in the GDC talked about how unions are increasing more because of AI. And he was quoted saying, if AI is going to be used, it has to be used with workers' consent and workers having a voice, right? 57% developers surveyed by GDC organizers this year say they were in support of unionizing. So like as we can see, you know,
Yep.
developers are getting, there is interest there. Then there's also mention of a Chrissy Felmeth, right, an organizer with International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. That's a mouthful. Who was a co-panelist with Belgov, points to the efforts of Hollywood Guild writers made to secure protections from AI use in their contract with their major AI and movie studios, right? So, yeah, we talked about it earlier, right? Like how, you know, SAG-AFTRA's kind of got that on lock with Hollywood, and now it's going to be the video game industry they're going to have to go up against. So this is going to be a fight just for SAG-AFTRA, though, right? Obviously, it's going to be a fight for everyone involved, except for executives, of course, because they're not going to want to give protections. But everybody who is a worker or creative within the game industry, right, has a stake in all this. So it's really good that now they're going to be unionizing, right? We're seeing that with recently, you know, the Warcraft team. Last week we talked about Bethesda, right? I think the Raven Software, like last year, formed their QA department formed a union, and then let's see, what else can we go over? And then there's also the fact that sometimes whatever it develops, it's kind of fucked up, right? You're talking about how, like, you don't have to clean up because, like, maybe there'll be some extra digits. But, according to this article from testimony from someone by the name of Laura Lemon, an animation director at Terrible Posture Games, she notes about how AI can make a picture of a gun, make a picture of a robot, but it can't do one, like, transform into the other. So that's something interesting to think about, right? Because it's like, well, AI does have limitations, right? So, I mean, if it's hard for a person to do, and the AI requires human input to work, then, you know, it's going to be hard to produce it. So it'll lead to games like being possibly, like, designs being more simple, like in a boring manner, because it can't, you know, it can't rely on like a transformation or something.
Yeah.
Right. Brain dump. That's what I was talking about. So remember I mentioned earlier about like they were going to make, like, their idea was to make a game like entirely made by people putting in prompts, and AI would make it for them. Yeah, brain dump. That's what it's called.
It failed, right?
I don't know. There's no mention about how it did, but
okay.
Yeah, self-described AI game maker Brain Dump. Yeah, right. Aims to give you an entire AI game studio complete with coders, artists, and so on to help you create your dream game. Right. Promise to let users build entire top-down games in direct world by simply typing prompts. And then
I could have sworn we talked about something like this.
Yeah, a little bit earlier in our discussion. I mean, there's not much more in the
no. Like episodes back, we talked about a game that was made like with just AI and it didn't do well.
I think, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It was like a proof of concept thing, but it was like so shitty that everyone was like, no, this is awful.
This
is terrible. Like, it had like NPCs talking and it was like so stiff and robotic, and everyone was like, no, we're good, bro.
Yeah. Okay. I guess this is a different one then.
Okay. And then the article ends with like some closing thoughts about how, you know, ultimately it's going to be in the future of AI is going to be in the hands of developers, and about how much they fight back against AI and help, you know, establish boundaries, because AI of itself can be really cool, but, you know, the way it's being used currently has not been cool.
No, not cool. Not cool. I mean, these greedy corporations have been greedy for a long time, so you can't help but think, oh boy, what do these greedy corporations want to do? with this tech. And it's
Yeah.
to save money.
I think a good way to end it would be on this quote said by Violet, where she says, AI isn't bad in and of itself. It's bad when the end goal is to maximize profits. AI can be extremely helpful with some complex problems in the world or do things no one wants to do. Things that are not taking away somebody's job.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much perfectly encapsulated. That's what the article ends on, that quote, which is perfect. Because it
Which
pretty much summarizes the whole thing. It's like AI can be a really cool thing. Can really help us out. But
Yes.
when it's used to just fuel greed, that's when we run into problems.
Absolutely.
So, any final thoughts?
AI is cool, but I don't trust these people to keep it cool.
Yeah, that was oh, that was a lot to go over.
Yeah,
And
it's
I,
funny
and
too.
I
'Cause-
still skipped over stuff.
yeah. I know you're. You're like, oh yeah, we're not gonna read the whole article, and it really just felt like you read the whole article.
I was just summarizing.
But,
Trust me, if we read the whole
yeah.
thing, we'd have been here for longer.
Yeah, honestly, we could have done a whole episode just on that because, man, it is a hot button issue right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Well, with all that, you want to sign us out? So I think you said everything, eh?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching this episode of Two Bar Connection. We really appreciate you guys watching this episode. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below if there's any stories that you want us to cover. Our main point of availability is YouTube. However, we do offer audio versions on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and Spotify. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you once again. So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Peace.
Bye, everybody.
Die, you son of a bitch!